Bam, bam, bam. So we're live over on YouTube. Definitely make sure y'all pull up. Appreciate y'all. Definitely make sure you like, share, comment. Make sure you mash that subscribe button. I'm here with Miss Audrey. We had a little bit of a I wouldn't even necessarily call it a back and forth. I would just say there was a bit of a rebuttal to one of the videos that I did about Miss Bryant. So instead of debate format, figured we could just exchange ideas and understandings as it relates to the contents of the situation and how things went down. I'm definitely not here to argue justification. That's definitely not my standpoint. It's just more so to exchange ideas as it relates to the situation. Honey, I'm live over on YouTube as well, waiting on you to get home. So without further ado, Miss Audrey, if you would like to take us away.
Okay. Like he said, we're just gonna have a conversation. Um, my take on it is that I think everybody kind of jumped out in the middle of the ocean when the news broke. I'm the type of person where I really, really get deep down in investigating things, and you have
Okay.
to know when something really don't seem right. I don't go with the
Okay.
first thing that comes out because it's always going to be something added to it, whether that is a truth or a lie. When I approached you on your video, it was simply I can kind of tell that had really just got by how you delivered on your video, and that was fine. I don't mean any harm when I come to your video because I know you seen me on more than just that video. I'm always duetting you or saying something, but when it involves a child, when anything involves a child, it takes out utmost attention to make sure that we are putting out what is right. Now, the disagreement that I had with you is because I don't feel like it was a racial context, because like I said, I really got deep down in there and I investigated it out. I went to different videos. I even went to some of the videos that was released that you all haven't seen, that the cameras put out. And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to post as many as TikTok will allow me to post to my page, because they
Right.
took several down. But I post things because I want people to see a broad picture and not just us in our feelings. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes both sides, we
Right.
all can get in our feelings and mean what we mean, and we say, whatever come out our mouth. That's not the way that we should be going about it, because I do believe that we all should come together. And I know your stance. Like I told you, I know your stance. I'm different. You understand what I'm saying? I'm the type of person where I love everybody till you show me that I cannot love you the way that I should. And that's just how I am. I'm gonna be that way till I die. But this particular
Right.
scenario kind of really got next to me because you had this, then I think the next day you had something else, and then before then you had another child in a school. I don't think we should be, even though we all know that race is playing a big part in a lot of things that's going on.
I think you
But
I think you froze.
call it, and not because we're in our feelings about something. If you
Okay. I definitely no, you're good now. I definitely think that's fair. As it relates to the situation, or more so the unfortunate tragedy of Miss Bryant, losing her life as a result of the altercation that took place outside her home. Just to make it very clear, what's up, T Nathan? Just to make it very clear, my position in terms of bringing race into the conversation, as it relates to the shooting, in and of itself, I did not think that was inherently about race. I think that's a matter of police training. However, the statement that I did make is that it seems as though that when less melanin is involved, officers seem to have a little bit more restraint to utilize other options besides deadly force, even when a deadly weapon is present. And that was a statement that I made. And there were multiple instances to whereby there was an individual with an axe, an individual with a knife, an individual that literally took an officer's weapon, an individual that took an officer's literally hijacked their vehicle, and no deadly force was applied to the situation. So in this regard, I feel like there is a bit of I guess double standard when it comes to who deserves deadly force and who doesn't in these types of situations. And we could literally go on and on and on about situations to whereby there's an individual, a minority, not necessarily just a black person, just a minority that, you know, was unarmed, you know, was not presenting a threat, and you know was an officer discharged their firearm toward this individual. I can remember a young man whom was I don't want to say a caretaker, but more so a caregiver for a patient whom was special needs. And his patient was sitting, you know, on the curb. He's sitting down with his hands up, and you know the officer shot him still. You know, he discharged his firearm, and when he asked the officer, you know, why did you shoot me? The officer said, I don't know. You know, so I do think that there is a bit of nuance there, and I think there's definitely a vast amount of validity there as it relates to officers exercising a lot more care, caution, and concern when it comes to those that are less melanated, and not even just white people, just less melanated. Uh, uh, you know, as us, and I think that we have to, like you said, even just taking emotions out of it and thinking objectively, and you know coming to this conversation, you know, logically, there is a bit of nuance there in terms of the training that these officers receive. And you know my question then becomes, why is it that officers can exercise a little bit more care, caution, and concern when it comes to suspects that are less melanated? Would
You're
you like to
asking that
speak to,
question?
would you like, well, no, I'm saying, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm me. Yeah, I would. Being being a country girl, let me just say that I'm from Alabama. Seen my share, believe me, of racism, and I'm not saying racism don't exist. In fact, and I speak for other people, but I don't believe we're actually saying that it doesn't exist. That particular situation was not victim. Whereas take the young man, and I can't call it's on the tip of my tongue. And I remember I will let you know. Can you hear me? Because it's a lot of static.
It's kind of low and a little choppy.
Anthony.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're coming through, but it's
on
kind of
my
low and
end
choppy.
too. Hold on, let me.
Okay.
Okay, let me quick. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna switch to my I'm gonna switch to my iPad and see if that's better because I'm on my iPhone right now.
Okay. Well, you can. Do you want to hop off the stream and then come back on your iPad?
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay. All right. Just send the. Come here, Cairo. Come here, Cairo. All right. 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 What's the topic? We had a bit of a you lucky he not calling people out right now. No, 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 it's all good. We had a bit of a disagreement as it relates to how the troll alerts invite your mods when you get a chance. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Um, hi, I'm Joey. Hi, Joey. I already have moderators. Um, you want to get back in there? Okay. Wait a minute. I think you done pooped. Yeah, I think you done pooped. Yeah, you done pooped. Can I join? The inconsistencies of police involved altercations with black people throughout history in comparison to altercations with white people is what makes this issue a racial issue. And that's the thing. So for those of you that just joined, we're discussing, essentially how I covered the Ma'Khia Bryant, um, Ma'Khia Bryant story on TikTok. Give me just a second. I'm inviting Miss Audrey back. All right, we good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Oh, perfect. Much better. Much better. Much better. Brandon. Okay. Yeah, my mods are here. So in this regard, what I was stating, I'm not sure how much of it that you heard. So I'll go ahead and reiterate. Essentially, what I was saying is that I believe the shooting in and of itself, while tragic, I don't believe that it was based on race. However, there was a little bit of nuance, and someone mentioned this in the comments. Later toward the tail end, when the officer yelled "Blue Lives Matter." Again, I don't think that in and of itself denotes it being a bit of a racial issue. I think it's more of a training issue with this specific shoot. In the and Just to reiterate, in the eyes of the law, I do believe that this will be a justified shooting because cops do have the right to protect a third party. However, oh goodness gracious, I do believe that when it comes to less melanated people, it seems as though officers have a lot more self-control and give a lot more care, caution, and concern with utilizing deadly force, even in the presence of deadly weapons. And I was asking you to speak to that.
Like I was saying, that's something us as African Americans, we're not going to get away from that. And we just need to be honest about what's going on. I'm just 50 years old. I was born and raised in Tuskegee, Alabama, so I've seen my share of racism, if we can call it that. I was young, but um, I've seen my share. This day and time, I don't put anybody in the same pot when it comes, not even officers, because I have a blue lives in my family. My family is full of military. So I tread water when I try to stir all of them in the same pot. Now, the officer that actually did the shooting was not the officer that they are claiming that said Blue Lives Matter. You're gonna have your ignorant people, and then you're gonna have those that are really out here trying to make a difference. Where I stand right now is that if we stir all the officers in one pot, we're leaving ourselves open to not even be able to call upon um, an officer in. I mean, the way things are going right now, if you understand what I'm saying, the way things are going right now is that they all feel entrapped. I don't care if they're a good officer or a bad officer. They all feel entrapped because I mean, you got some of us out here that are calling, they don't care what, long as they put on that blue uniform, they bad. You understand what I'm saying? And that's, to me, that's wrong because you cannot put Joe in the same pot with Tim when Joe is over here trying to fight against Tim. We should be, I believe, we should be encouraging them to really, if we want that reform within the police department, then we need to encourage the police that can, get on our side, come to the forefront and let us know what's going on so we can weed those bad apples out. But if we're attacking all of them, who you gonna weed out? You're not
So
gonna.
let me ask you this: do you believe that police reform needs to happen?
Oh, I've been believe that police reform needs to happen. I mean, you got not to be sounding kind of off the wall, but hell, you got some doctors that need reforming because of our treatment. In hospitals and in doctors' office. So everybody needs continual training. That's a fact. I don't go against that. What I go against is how we go about doing it. And how we are going about doing it is not going to make a. I mean, it's too much aggression. It's too much. We got people on this end with aggression. We over here on this end with aggression. You got people in the middle with aggression. What are you going to get solved when everybody just walking around angry as hell? You can't get anything solved. Nobody's listening to anybody. It's like a no-win situation that I keep looking at day in and day out. And it's not like we're even paying attention to what's really going on. If people can't understand that racism is gonna exist to this world is up in smoke, I don't know what to tell them. It's no change in that area, but you can't improve in that area. Before all of this started happening, we all was living our lives. That I try to make to people. We all was living our lives. You didn't bother me, I didn't bother you. But now it's like many of us are in people's households trying to tell them, oh, you this, oh, you that. Come on. It gets to a point where it be a bit much when we're trying to fight for this right here or try to get a point across. Me personally, last year, I believe was the time that we as African Americans, we could have really rose up and made a difference. We didn't. We did what? We took to the streets because why? What did we get accomplished going to the streets?
You said, what did we get accomplished going to the streets? You mean like
Yeah.
marching and protesting?
Yeah, what did we get accomplished?
Getting bills passed. You can really take it to the civil rights movement. All marches and protests are not always. Give me just a second. Okay, it's gonna be all right. So really and truly taken to the streets, really and truly to not only march and protest, but also to raise awareness. Sometimes just that presence alone to raise awareness about something that individuals might not be as aware of, that may be prevalent in a specific area. I can remember things like the Montgomery bus boycott, to whereby there were marches that took place, there were protests, kept from here, get him please, to whereby a stance was taken and a sentiment was had. He do. I had to change his diaper really quickly and I didn't have his diapers. And I really do believe that when it's purposeful, that is when it's impactful. When it's not purposeful, that's when it becomes not impactful. And what I mean by that is you have individuals that will seek to do things to try and hijack the movement or try to hijack, the protest or the situation of what's taking place. And in that regard, what it does is it convolutes the minds of those that say that they want to support, because the reality is that if you're going to march, you're going to march. If you're going to protest, you're going to protest. If you're out there just to cause havoc, then that's what you're going to do. So in this regard, we take those small pockets of situations and we apply that to the whole. When really and truly, there's so much that has been accomplished just by take Bloody Sunday, for example, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, you know what I mean? Things like that, things that have literally gone down in history to whereby now we can say that we have this, this, and this. Now, I do believe that after the civil rights movement, it was just like, okay, where do we go from here? The idea of, okay, now, we had, okay, where do we go from here? So when we ask that question about, what has marching and protesting done, the reality is that it has given us a great leg up. But the issue lies therein. What did we do with that? What did we do with that?
Well, again, me looking at what I'm looking at, and this is my opinion only. Me looking at last year, I don't see where, as you would say, I don't see where our ancestors would be proud, because
You,
you have a march and a protest.
what are
And
you talking about? Black Lives Matter protests?
No, I'm just talking about them getting out trying to make a difference, period. I don't really let those three letters roll off my tongue, because I just don't. But the protest to make a difference of last year, where everybody took to the street to make a difference, to protest. And you
So you're
said
talking about everybody in general.
everybody that was out there.
Okay, okay.
Now you said it got hijacked, but what if I tell you in my research it was hijacked from the beginning? Not when you think it was hijacked. It was hijacked coming out the door. We have
in what sense? In what sense? Qualify that. In what sense was it hijacked in the beginning?
Because African Americans need to realize when
Hit that garage door button, honey.
When they are being put in front for a reason.
Uh-huh.
And that's what happened last year. It had nothing to do with the election. It had nothing to do with none of political stuff. Well, yeah, political, but you know, the people like Trump, and it had nothing to do with Trump and Biden. It was an underlying reason that they are now getting to the point where they are trying to tell us, oh yeah, we are so important. My thing is that if you, Anthony Holland, don't know you important, Patty can't come along and tell you important. You understand what I'm saying? Because if Patty got to come along and tell you important, Patty got a little bit of push and pull with you.
Well, no, honestly, I can't say that I understand that, because you have.
Let me put it in a term. Let me put it in a term where you can understand.
Okay.
Out of everything that happened last year.
When you say last year, that's a very blanketed term. You got to be more specific. What do you mean by last year?
2020. We in 2021. I'm talking about 2020. From summer of 2020.
Okay.
On up.
Okay.
With everything that happened, be honest with yourself. And I'm trying to put this as plainly as I could. Do you actually think that many people would have took to the street had not a lot of pushing from so-called allies, so-called political people in political positions, and the so-called people that's supposed to represent us with the melanin in our skin? Do you think that many people would have been in the street doing what they was doing had not it been for those people behind them, pushing them, telling them that this is what they need to do, get out there, make a difference? I mean, I'm really confused about that, because I've seen marches, I've seen protests,
right,
and I've seen those things make a difference,
right,
with minimal. I'm not gonna tell you they didn't have they quirks in them, with minimal things that happened. I do not believe that the things that happened last year should have happened to make a point, because you say bills have been passed. Name me, and I ain't talking about those executive orders. Name me one bill that has been passed as a result of the protest. I'm not going to even call it nothing else but a protest last year.
So you have the chokehold ban that was put on in terms of and then you got the no-knock warrants that was placed down. Give me just a second. I don't have them right offhand, but I can definitely tell you bills passed, because definitely in the words of my brother Consciously, research over me search, as it relates to the protests and things of that nature. So when you say things like, you know, what happened last year, the reason why I tell you to qualify that is because it sounds like a very blanketed statement as it relates to how we go about Brianna's Law. There we go. Someone just said in the comments. As it relates to no-knock warrants as well as chokeholds, and I believe the chokeholds was as a result of Eric Garner in New York. So when we talk about what has taken place last year, statistically, right, the statistics are already out. 93% of, and I say Black Lives Matter protests because, I can't think of, unless you can tell me another organization, group, movement, whatever the case may be, that marched with the exception of neo-Nazis in Charlottesville, Trump supporters. I can't really think of another group unless you can, offer me another resource of another group and or organization that marched for these types of things to happen. We look at the statistics and you look at 93%. So the overwhelming majority of those marches were peaceful, meaning there was an end goal to bring about awareness, to bring about, understanding of what has taken place. And then on top of that, when we go back to our basic rights, we have the right to protest. So when you ask me something like, what do I think came of it? There's plenty of things that we can qualify, but give me just a second. I'm pulling this up on Google right now. So in that, bills passed as a result of, and I'll just put Black Lives Matter 2020. Okay. So another one that was passed, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed the sweeping police reform bill that currently has little prospect of becoming law and partisan gridlock. So that one's in the process. What's in the Democratic House bill, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, was passed exactly a month after Minneapolis, Minnesota, George Floyd's death at warp speed for usually deliberative and ponderous legislative body. So that's one thing. Again, I'm a little. To me, it just seems a little. I don't want to say arbitrary, but it's just like I need you to be a little bit more specific, so I know specifically what to look for, so I can ensure that I give you the right information. Because when we talk about marching and protesting, right, we've been marching and protesting long before last year. And Miss Audrey, I can definitely tell that you're a lot more seasoned than I am. I don't like to say older, a lot more seasoned than I am. So I'm sure you've lived through these periods to whereby we've marched, we've protested, things of that nature. So I have a lot of mentors. My dad, my grandmother, that was out marching and protesting. But I'm more of an advocate for boycotts. But when we fully qualify, these marches and these protests, is number one, to raise awareness. Number two, when you talk about the pressures, right? My bachelor's degree is in mass communications with a concentration in public speaking and journalism. I'm not sure what your educational background is, and I'm not bringing that up to diminish or devalue, your level of education. I'm saying that to qualify my statement. When it comes to the media, right? I firmly believe that the media is not on any of our sides, regardless of what side of the aisle you stand on. Now, I'm independent myself, not Democrat or Republican. However, the media is not on our side. So in this regard, we have to do our due diligence to sift through the nonsense, to look through different sources, Huffington Post, Washington Post, New York Times, NPR. We got to sift through all of the nonsense, because the reality is that some are a little bit more left-leaning, some are a little bit more right-leaning, some are more so in the middle. So we have to do our due diligence to ensure that we're looking at all of the sources and then sifting through, and not, like you said, responding solely from emotion, but also adding logic in there as well. Now, to bring this full circle to those of you that just joined and or over on my TikTok, with my videos, there is oftentimes when I will allow my emotions to allow me to work through a video, essentially. However, when it comes to the facts of a situation, I always make sure that I put that factual information in there. Now, there were individuals that brought some contentions toward how I reported the initial situation, whereby you stated earlier, we only had limited information, right? So based off of what we had, right, our statements are consistently qualified. Now, just for full context, 2 of my videos were actually taken down to whereby I was adding more context and doing more follow-up and updated videos, to whereby some people looked at that as, oh, you're backpedaling. It's like, no. I'm giving updates. So holistically, do I think the shooting in of itself, just to again bring it back full circle, was racial? I don't think so. That's just my personal opinion. However, if we look historically, officers have seemed to have more self-control, and this is the part that I wanted you to speak to. More self-control when it came to more dangerous weapons as it relates to those that had less melanin than you and I, in situations to whereby more dangerous weapons are present. Mass shooters, an individual with an axe, an individual with a knife. We watched a full body cam footage of an individual that literally stabbed an officer, and he shifted from his firearm to his taser. You know, we watched the cops say that, you know, she after 26 years of being on the force, she mistook her taser. I'm sorry, her firearm for her taser. You know, to me, 26 years of being on the force, you don't make mistakes like that. So in this regard, when we have individuals that have less melanin than us, that seem as though that they're getting more leeway when it comes to care, caution, and concern with how police engage with them, I have an issue with that. So that is what I was asking you essentially to speak to in terms to qualify in this entire situation.
On the first thing about the melanin, I'm qualified to a certain extent. And what you will learn about me is that I don't speak on anything that I don't know about.
Okay, I respect that.
No matter if I see it on TV or what, if I really haven't experienced it in my lifetime, I don't speak on it. Now, as far as cops, I'm gonna say targeting us because we got this melanin. I'm using that word, not you. I'm using that word.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm from Tuskegee, Alabama. Everybody down there is damn near black. You understand what I'm saying? So if I had to speak on cops targeting this right here, it would be my own. Because that's what happened in where I'm from. Right. I'm close to Montgomery, Alabama. You know, I used to stay close to Montgomery, Alabama. That's when you hear about the racism and, you know, the white cops this and separate from the black cops. You know, we hear about it. We see it on the TV. But I, staying in Tuskegee, experienced cops doing, you know, some racist stuff and they the same color. You understand what I'm saying? I've seen with my own eyes cops setting people up, young men. You understand what I'm saying? I cannot speak on a lot of things, just the stuff that I'm really kind of educated on or I learned or I have training in. Right. Now, to speak on it, how you're putting it, I wouldn't say that we're being targeted. As I said before, you have your good cops and you have your bad cops. I do believe since all of this been going on, and it's been going on way before 2020, since all of this been going on, I just think they're starting to come out the woodwork, and we're starting to see people for who they really are.
So do you think there's a bit of nuance? I read an article in the Washington Post, and they were working in conjunction with the FBI, to whereby they stated that Black Americans are twice as likely. No, I think it's either twice or three times as likely to be disproportionately shot by police than their white counterparts, and they've been compiling this data since 2015. What do you say to that?
I can believe that. I can believe that. You know why I can believe that? Because it's like that has been the African American path. And you know what? I'm not going to say that because you have some other brown skinned people that have went through the trenches as well. But as for us, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But my take on it is I still cannot stir everybody in the same time. That's me. Because I know and I'm not even talking about family. I know that it is some good cops out here. I know that at this point in time, we have the good cops that can't shine because guess what? We keep shining the light on everything bad. So guess what they're doing? And again, my opinion, I feel like they're backing up. They're backing up. Why try? Why try? We don't hear about it, but we have an abundance of police officers that have quit the force. Like you said, mainstream media don't tell us that. You just
I mean,
quit
the force as a result of what? Being
as
held
a
accountable for their jobs?
no, quit the force as a result of what's going on. That word accountability goes a long way. You understand what I'm saying? Because I do believe that they should be accountable, and I believe that us on the outside looking in should be accountable for the things that like, let me give an example, like that shooting. Everybody wanted that cop to be accountable, like he was supposed to know driving up that was a young teenager.
Right.
I'm standing back like, if I'm counting before they even came out with a video counting the little seconds, I'm counting. He got out the car. From the first video, it was like immediately as he got out the car, you had somebody kicking somebody in the head. You see where it looked like he went over there to kind of help that situation, and all it's like from there all hell broke loose. Tell me in your honest opinion, no matter what it looked like to us on the outside, do you
Right.
think that man had time to think? He already trying to help one girl, and now you got something else going on.
Well, he completely overlooked. Well, okay, so in my honest opinion, I felt like he pulled up ready to shoot. And the reason why I say that is
Why?
because you said why? Oh, okay, I'll explain why. So, in terms of when he first pulled up, right? So if you completely contextualize this situation, he initially pulled up, right? Now, for those of you that don't understand and this is not for you, this is for those in the comments. Police presence or officer presence essentially is the first level of escalation, right? When you're talking about escalation, de-escalation, right? Your presence, you being on scene, you asking what's going on, what it is, what's the situation, essentially, right? So when he first pulls up and say, "Hey, what's going on?" right? It's not very authoritative, right? So for me, being in the military, again, I always try to make sure that I, check myself because I've never been a police officer. You know what I mean? I know what I'm trained to do in the military, and this is not to make myself seem like some military badass or anything like that. It's just more so if I'm coming on scene, for example, and especially if I'm gonna draw my weapon, right? If I'm coming on scene, hey, what's going on? I'm authoritative. I'm trying to gain control of the situation, right? Now, if I'm going to draw my firearm, right? Now, this is just my PS4 controller. If I'm going to draw my firearm, especially when he was saying, get down, get down, get down, right? It was very, essentially passive. It seemed very passive the way that he was saying it. If I'm going to be taking authority of a situation, hey, get down, drop the weapon. There was no drop the weapon. It was 4 get downs, and then he started shooting. The reason why I said I felt as though he pulled up ready to shoot is because if you looked completely at the situation from an objective lens, right? No racism, just an objective lens, right? The very first person, and I put up 2 fingers, the very first person that he should have engaged, if we're talking about force, was the father that was about to kick that. Based off the footage, I can't tell if he actually kicked her in the head or if he was kicking her as she was going down. He completely overlooked that kick. Did not engage the father at all.
No, he
As soon
didn't.
as he turned, he saw the knife. Get down, get down, get down, get down. 4 shots, she dropped. Well,
Okay.
first shot, and then he shot 3 more. So in this regard, I felt like, and I said this in my video, in the eyes of the law, yes, the shooting is going to be justified because officers have the opportunity to protect third parties, which was the girl in the pink. However, in my honest opinion, when I said I felt like there were more options, there were other things that he could have done, in my opinion, to keep from not only saving 1 life, but he could have saved 2. That is my opinion. So in this regard, a lot of us, we have our opinions of what we feel like could have happened or should have happened. But the reality is that none of us were him. From what I've seen, and I'm not sure if you've been pretty privy to other information, from what I've seen, he's been an officer since 2019. So he's had a little either over 2 or under 2 years of experience on the force, right? So in this regard, again, this is speculative. We don't know whether or not he actually dealt with a situation like that before. 4 shots to me in that situation seemed very excessive. Very excessive. It seemed more like to me that he was scared, that he might have never been in that situation. And then if you look at the body cam footage, the look on the officer's face when he walked up in the top left-hand corner of the body cam footage, he looked so surprised. Almost like, yo, why did you just do that? So in this regard, I'm thinking, and my brother T. Nathan, he brought up a good point. He said he had enough time to either, one, discharge a taser, and then we get into the semantics of how effective versus ineffective tasers are. That's number one. Then number 2, rush her, secure her wrist with the knife to pull back on it. Again, speculative, just an opinion. Right now, someone said in the comments he did save 2 lives, the girl that was on the ground and the girl in the pink. Okay, well, let's say he could have saved 3 lives then. You know, that way everybody could have went home. You know what I'm saying? Everybody could have, or if this young lady was seen as the aggressor on scene, she could have got her day in court. My issue comes in not with the police officer, but more so the police training. Now, you said something earlier that I kind of want to give a little pushback to. You said you do believe that they're good cops. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that they're good men and women that wear the uniform, that have been ingrained into this system that has long since needed to be dismantled. Long since needed to be dismantled. Now, do I believe that there are good men and women that wear that uniform? Absolutely. I'm not a ACAB person or whatever, people want to call it. Hey, if that's what you want to align with, cool. I have no issue with that. You do your thing. I personally don't, but I believe the system in and of itself has long since needed to be dismantled. The system of policing. Now, I do believe that there are good men and women that serve with integrity, but then when you look at the different instances to whereby cops have spoke up, right, they've been reprised, meaning them speaking up, things have happened to them as a result. Being put on desk duty, being transferred to another department, being ostracized for speaking up and doing their job. On scene, speaking up against police brutality. I watched the instance to whereby a police officer punched an unarmed suspect, to whereby another police officer said, hey, what are you doing? Told the other officers, hey, put him in cuffs. You know what I mean? Situations like that to whereby you have officers that want to, actually, let me pause to make just a second, Miss Audrey. For those of you that are in the comments that are calling her an apologist and berating this young lady as it relates to her character, I want you to stop doing that. Stop doing that. This is for us to exchange ideas and to also have intellectual conversation. And I'm not going to accept that in my comment section. And once she begins talking, if I do have the opportunity, I will boot you from this stream. We're not doing that. We're not doing that whatsoever. On this stream or over here on my TikTok. We're not doing that. We're exchanging ideas, having conversation. We're not doing that. So check yourself. Getting back to my point. When we talk about the system of policing in and of itself, I truly do believe, and you can give me your sentiments, that the system of policing in and of itself needs, some sort of change within it. I believe that mental health training needs to take place, and I do believe that the academy, so to speak, needs to be a little longer. What do you say to that?
I can agree with that. Especially the academy part, because over the years, it went from months of training to weeks of training. So that I can agree with. The mental training, like if people in the military has to go through that, because you can't get in the military with a mental problem, point blank, period. So I feel like if people in the military have to go through it and they are considered officers, then yeah, the officers that we have out here with us should have that training as well. But let me say this, I do not agree with the statement that you claim men and women wear the blue and you don't feel like all of them bad. They're still cops. They're still considered cops. So my question to you, are you saying their mentality? Because if they wearing the blue uniform, they're considered what? Cops. So if you don't consider them bad, you don't consider all cops bad. You feel what I'm saying?
So what I'm saying is definitely I'm speaking to the mindset, because you have a system to whereby they've been ingrained to believe a specific thing. The professional cop, so to speak, is very new, less than 50 years old, really and truly. So when you look at the system of policing and the history of policing in and of itself, it was not to be a professional entity in the community. It wasn't.
And
So
that's
in this regard, so when I say that I do believe that there are good men and women that wear the uniform, what I mean by that is there are good men and women that say, hey, I see something that's going on and I would like to be a part of the change. Now, when you have those individuals that consider themselves cops that are the bad apples, those are to me the ones that are brainwashed by the system of policing that's old, that needs to be dismantled. That's what I mean by that. So you, in terms of, if we want to play the semantic argument, they're all cops. I get that. 100%. I get that. I'm speaking so to the mentality of those that say, you know what? I understand that this system is in place. This system that says, hey, do this, this, and this historically. However, I also believe that there are individuals that say, you know what? I see what's going on and what's taking place, and I'm going to fight against that. If there are officers that are not doing their job, I'm going to speak up against that. If there are officers that are, misusing and mishandling that badge that they took an oath to serve and protect the people of that community that they're policing, and I'm going to hold that person accountable, they're going to hold that person accountable. Those are the people that I'm talking about, that are the good men and women that wear that uniform and serve with integrity and honor. And I happen to know a couple of my fraternity brothers. My wife has a few family members that serve. My fraternity brother, he's a highway patrolman in South Carolina. My wife, I believe it's one of her uncles. He's a police officer in Philadelphia. And that police department in and of itself has had a myriad of issues. So in this regard, again, I'm speaking to the mindset of an individual that says that, you know what, I see this system, I understand and I acknowledge that this is a bad system, and I'm going to work to fight against it to ensure that people know that I'm going to serve with integrity and honor and serve the people that I gave an oath to protect in the community that I'm policing.
Now, with that being said, the one thing, and you're gonna laugh at this part right here, the one thing that I'm proud of that you have said all night and have not literally said, you didn't put a color on it. You simply said men and women of cops. You've been talking that way all night. And that's the conversation that I'm trying to get everybody to see, because we have some of our own that come against our own and that are cops. You understand what I'm saying? But when we put it out there, that is simply the racist cop, which is most people mouth the white cop. You understand what I'm saying? It's certain words you will see me struggle to use because I don't like to use them. You say the non-melanin rubber cop are the problem. They're the issue, but they're not the problem. You get where I'm going with that? You have an issue of non-melanin people causing chaos. But when you try to get to the root and the problem of it, they might be causing it. But who do we have that can take care of it? Who do we have that can come against it? Who do we have that can speak? And I understand you saying a lot of cops, I know cops get in trouble when they speak up. I know this. But if we have nobody to solve the problem, the issue will continue. But one thing about it, you cannot solve the problem with the same issue. And what I mean about that, if they come strong against us, we coming strong against them, what is that creating?
Say it again.
If they coming against us and we're returning the favor coming against them, where do we solve the problem at?
So you have an individual who has given an oath to protect the community, to serve with honor, dignity, courage, things of that nature, right? Okay. And then you have a group of people whom are essentially seeking to hold this individual accountable. Now, am I saying every community is, upper echelon perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, the statistics don't support that. History doesn't support that. However, when you have a historical distrust of an entire system, the reason why I say good men and women is because it doesn't matter what you look like. If you ingrain yourself into that system and you allow that system to overtake your mind, anybody can become perpetuators of this historical system that is not meant good for anybody. Let's just take it past us. There was an individual, his name was Ryan Whitaker. Are you familiar with the Ryan Whitaker story?
Not quite.
Okay, so Ryan Whitaker, there was a domestic disturbance to whereby his neighbors called the police for him. They said that he was having an argument with his girlfriend, right?
He was
He
taking out
had
the
a
trash.
registered firearm in his name, and he answered the door with it. Every right to do so. The officers tell him to drop his weapon. He goes to drop his weapon to comply. Boom, they start shooting him. He loses his life. So when I talk about police brutality, when I talk about the system needing to be dismantled, it's not always just us that are victims of it. Because again, it doesn't matter what you look like when you're ingraining yourself into a system that says, hey, it's almost as if some of them feel as though they're above the law. When the reality is that none of us are above the law, whether you're on the civilian side as a police officer or in the military, none of us are above the law. However, when you look at the systems that are in place that give them things like paid administrative leave, when they've shot an unarmed suspect, find ways to dehumanize whomever the victim is in order to justify and I can't say too many words because I'm on TikTok Live, the unaliving of a suspect, to whereby the criminal justice system says, hey, you're justified, go home. Or you're justified, you're fired from this department, and you can go work somewhere else. To whereby when we talk about accountability for this system, we got to have an open and honest conversation about how long this has been taking place, and the men and women, just to reiterate, that have spoke up in times of injustice, that have spoke up in times of tumultuous situations taking place, that have spoke up in times of toxic leadership, and they've been reprised as a result of it. They've been ostracized as a result of it. Some of them, although we might not be able to conclusively give this sentiment, some of them have lost their lives.
You pretty much clarified what I just said, just in your long term. That's what I'm saying. If you got an issue and you have a problem that needs to be solved, like you just said, who's gonna pull?
So how do we address that issue?
I don't think we address that issue how we coming at it now. I think we address.
Qualify that. What do you mean by that?
I think we address that issue by, like you said, police reform, coming up with a plan to where the ones that are at the top that we know is probably causing it. And again, this is not about race, because we have some higher ups that are melanin that are just as bad as, what people out here think the non-melanin are. But until you get to the top and weed your way down, you're going to still have that problem with police officers long after, like I said, probably to the end of the earth. That's a problem at the top, because they won't go in and do what they need to do. If I'm complaining or you're complaining and we got complaints stacked this high in the police department against officers, who you think is supposed to look at those?
The police chief.
Exactly. So
right.
if he's tossing them to the side, it don't matter to me where he come from. But if he's tossing them to the side, then that 1, 2, 3, or 4 police officers think they in the clear. They can go out and do what they want to do. They not gonna get reprimanded. They not gonna do this. So
right, which speaks to the system.
So that exactly. So those 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers is a cancer. They are a cancer within the police, that particular police department. And if you let that cancer spread, It's spread no matter what. Cancer don't care what color you are. It's gonna spread no matter what. Back to the thing. Are you clear on that, or do I need to clarify something else?
No. That was crystal. That was crystal. I again speaking directly to the system. That was crystal.
Back to Miss Bryant.
Okay.
I just want to clarify something on that.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to go off the body cam because I actually have another video on my page, and when you get time, go look at it. I have from a whole different view.
I've seen that one as well.
You seen that one?
From the neighbor?
Cam, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the body cam was good, but when you get to look at it like that, when you see him get out the car, when you see Micaiah come out of the house, that was Micaiah on the girl that was on the ground. When she got up off of that girl off the ground, she ran to the girl in the pink. The dad kicked the girl on the ground in the head.
No. In that footage, the young lady in the pink was standing back. When that girl hit the ground and Micaiah was over top of her, she advanced toward Micaiah.
Yeah, I didn't explain that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Which would make her the aggressor in that situation. But although Micaiah had the knife, she would be seen as the aggressor from the cop's perspective. Yeah.
And she's telling the girl. See, one thing about the last video that I posted, it came with audio.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Now we saw the video and everybody came to their own conclusion. But when you actually hear audio, when Micaiah charged the girl, she was telling the girl she was gonna stab her.
I mean, if somebody's attacking me, I think I might say that too.
Okay, so I can't see because the police was standing kind of like in the way, but however Micaiah got up, she went for the girl in the pink. My belief, my opinion, my belief is when the dad kicked the young lady in the head, I believe that's who the officer was really talking to. I don't even think he saw the knife until he saw the knife. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
when she pulled it out to bring it above her head.
Yeah, because if you look at it, see, you gotta look frame by frame. If you look at it, his attention was really focused on the dad kicking the girl in the head.
So why do you think he didn't engage him from the very beginning?
I don't know, and that's my point that I tell everybody. It don't matter which way that'll go. If he would have shot the dad, where would we be at today? We'll be asking why he shoot a black man. That right there is a no-win situation. And he actually saved the life. You cannot tell me that's a win-win situation. That's a no-win situation, because had he justifiably stopped the threat of the father, it would have been a problem there. But he stopped the threat of a threat. You feel what I'm saying? He stopped an adamant threat because she had a weapon.
So let me ask you this. While I do believe again in the eyes of the law that they will justify that, can you objectively say that shooting her was his only option?
Yeah. Because
you don't think he could have done anything else?
He didn't have time to do anything else but dissolve the threat. If you look at it, just kind of clear your mind and actually look at it. What time did he have to do? And I'm gonna tell you, if you look at my last video, I don't even want to put this out there, but hell, to me it looked like he even hesitated.
Which would give him more time. Maybe
so, but that's my opinion. That's me looking at it. And don't let these 4 eyes fool you, because I need another set to go with them. I'm straining to see you right now. But it looked like he hesitated trying to figure out what the hell the father was over here doing. And like I said, when he realized that was an adamant threat over that way, no, he didn't have time to run over there, grab her arm, try to get his taser out. First of all, it probably wouldn't even reach that far if you actually look at the distance he was from that car. But you said he could have got the taser. if you look at my full ass video, they couldn't even find where he should. Where did everybody say she was shot? In the chest, right?
Right.
They lifted her whole shirt up. They couldn't even find. They found the one in her leg. They couldn't even find where she was shot at. So they had to immediately start CPR until the paramedics got there. It's on, and that's why I tell people, do research first because you're gonna miss something. We all ran with a story, but my last video pretty much laid his camera out, the camera from it lays it all out all the way.
So
up.
if you so will you agree after watching the second view that she was actually defending herself, regardless of what the police officer did? You will not agree that she was defending herself? No. Even after watching the second body cam footage to whereby the young lady hit the ground and the young lady in the pink actually advanced towards her holding the chihuahua? No. You don't think that that's her defending herself? Why didn't the pink girl run away?
First, okay, if I call the police and somebody's outside my house, if you call the police, that means you're looking for authority to come take care of that problem. Follow me when I say this. She called the police.
Well, we don't know that conclusively. We don't know who called.
I mean, it was her little sister. I said that on the very first video. That sounded like a child. So now it has come out that it was believed to be her little sister. Me personally, if you listen at the girl in the pink and listen at the first 911 call, hell, I even believe it was her. But whoever it was, it has a childlike voice. We're going to get past that. When Micaiah came out the house, she did not go to explain what was going on to the officer. She went straight for the girl.
Hold on. Let's qualify this. You do know, or you are aware that the confrontation started in the home, right? Because new information has come out. You are aware of that, correct?
No, I didn't hear the new information about it starting in the home. Yeah, what I did hear,
the new information that was put out is that the two young ladies, that the young lady that hit the ground and the girl in the pink, were former foster children. They were actually adults, like 20 plus adults that came to the home for apparently a birthday party, and they got into an altercation with Micaiah over some housekeeping. So the altercation started in the home that Micaiah lives in. Those young ladies did not live there.
Hold on. With that information that you just said, it is also some other information out that the mom, the house mom, or whatever they call it,
the foster mother, yeah,
had something to do with those girls being there.
Right, she called them.
Yeah, I'm not going with neither one of them. What I'm trying to clarify with you right now is that when she called the police, or whoever called the police, because it was 2 calls.
Right, and they made the statement that there are grown women here trying to attack us and stab us. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So if you're calling saying grown women are there trying to attack you, that's the knowledge that the cops have. You understand what I'm saying? That somebody have a knife or a gun or whatever, because they did not clarify on the 911 call what exactly it was after being asked over and over again.
Right.
Okay. But if I call the police, when the police get here to my house, I'm going out to try to explain, okay, these girls are here, so-and-so, and they here to fight me, they here to do whatever. Anthony, she didn't do that. She came out the house.
If you're being attacked, do you think you have time to explain yourself?
Where was she being?
Again, let's qualify this. The confrontation didn't start outside. It started in the home. It moved outside. So there was already an active confrontation before the police officer pulled up. So to your statement of when the police officer pulls up, you should be, essentially able to explain to the police officer, hey, I am so-and-so. This is what the situation is. The situation was already in progress. So where did she have time to explain herself?
The situation was not in progress when the officer arrived.
It was.
It was no confrontation going on when he got out of the vehicle.
From the second, so from the second footage from the neighbor across the street, you can see them coming from the side of the home all the way over to the side to whereby when the police officer pulled up, they were coming from the side of the home. That's an active confrontation.
No, the girl in the pink and the girl that got attacked, they was already outside. You need to go back and watch it. They was already outside, along with another young lady that was standing behind the girl in the pink. Okay, Micaiah, the foster mom, and somebody else came out of the house, not from around outside the house.
The foster mom wasn't even there.
Well, that's who they saying it was.
The foster mom wasn't there.
Well, whoever mom that was that they are claiming was the foster mom or grandma or whatever they claiming she was, came out of the house. The dad was the one came on the other side of the car. The girl in pink said something to the dad. The dad went this way. Micaiah and them coming. When Micaiah got to the girl that was in the front of the car, that was not what pink girl in pink was, but the car that was parked like
the one that hit the ground.
Okay, when she got close to her, if you pay attention, immediately there was a brawl. The girl got knocked to the ground.
And then the girl in the pink advanced toward Micaiah. You can see that on the second footage.
The police officer advanced over there and the girl in pink. Girl in pink didn't even get close before Micaiah got up.
But is that not still aggression though?
You cannot make the fact that when law enforcement arrived.
No, I'm not talking about law enforcement. I'm talking about the girl in the pink. She's standing still on the second footage from the neighbor. She's standing still. When that girl hits the ground, the girl in the pink is advancing towards Micaiah. That's a fact. Is that not a sign of aggression? What is she advancing toward her for?
That's not a sign of aggression to me. Hold on, I was trying to make a point.
I got you. I'm listening.
The fact that she even came out the house with a weapon, that circumvent anything that we could say. Yes, she was a child, but she was the aggressor.
In an altercation with adults.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
In a home that she lives in.
Hold on. I get to fighting, say down the street. They follow me home. I call the police. Police get here. I come out the door, and I'm not gonna even use a knife. I come out the door and shoot the girl that I just got in a fight with down the street. Cause they approached me, tried to double team me. Hold on. Who you think gonna get shot?
That's not a comparable equivalence because they had already had access to the home. It's one thing for you to get into a scuffle and to go home and get a weapon and come back. It's another for a confrontation to start in your home and advance outside.
Okay, even if it advanced, Anthony, at some point, whatever happened inside had been separated. You understand what I'm saying? In y'all world, what's that called?
What do you mean? What do you mean in y'all world? What do you mean by that?
Because you're an officer.
No, I'm in the military. I'm not an officer.
I know. I call you an officer, baby. Y'all learn the same thing. Believe me, I know. Y'all learn the same thing. If she would have killed the young lady in the pink, and she actually did, I don't know if she stabbed the young lady on the ground.
No, she didn't.
Okay. You know, we hearing other things, but that's what was said. But if she would have actually killed the young lady, stabbed her, whatever, maimed her, whatever, because it had been separated, that's called a form of premeditation because they had been separated. It was nothing. You got these girls outside. They are no longer in the house. If she was gonna stab her, she should have did it when they was in the house and they attacked her. They got separated. We don't even know for how long. All we know is that everything went outside.
I don't know that I can qualify that as premeditation because again, if you look at the second footage from the neighbors across the street, let's contextualize the separation, right? The confrontation started in the home. Let's say the girl in the pink, she's already outside. It seems though she was already out the way, right? Let's say she exited the home. She was already outside standing near the car, right? And for those of you that have not seen the second view, I would encourage you to go look at it so that you understand what we're talking about. The girl in the pink was already out of the way. The girl that she was immediately engaging with, the one that hit the ground, when she hit the ground, the girl in the pink advanced towards Micaiah. So if you're talking about premeditation, the girl in the pink should have never advanced towards Micaiah from the very beginning.
I didn't.
That to me is premeditation because she has a chihuahua in her arms. I'm sure you saw the dog that was in her arms as well, right?
I mean,
you have a dog in your arms and you're already out the way. Why reinsert yourself into the situation? I can't say that Micaiah was premeditated toward the girl that she was advancing towards, because if I'm engaging in a scuffle with the person that's down on the ground and I see on my peripheral someone advancing toward me that I already had a confrontation with, then I'm going to adjust because, again, the father's there. He's already engaging with the girl on the ground. So out of my peripheral, I see her, which from the angle that she was at, I'm more than, again, this is speculative, that she's seen her out of her peripheral. She turns to engage her. If she would have never advanced towards her, I don't know that we'd be having this conversation.
Okay.
I don't know that we'd be having this conversation because, again, we have to ask the question. When you talk about premeditation, we have to ask the question. If the girl in the pink had already exited the home, she was not in the confrontation that led to the first girl hitting the ground. She was already out of the way. The second viewing of that footage from the neighbor, that girl in the pink was already out the way. She reinserted herself back into the situation holding a dog. So when we talk about qualifying premeditation, I can't say that that's premeditated. I cannot agree with that. I can't say that I agree with that whatsoever.
Okay.
That to me is defense.
I'm going to use words that I haven't used in a long time, and that is we going to agree to disagree, but I'm going to make this clear statement. I don't think she was, I do believe that it could have been premeditated murder if the girl in pink had gotten stabbed. I do not believe the girl in pink tried to go over to engage in a scuffle, especially not with a dog in her hand.
So why advance toward Micaiah if she was already out of the way of the situation?
I feel, in opinion, I feel she was going over there because she saw the girl hit the ground, as the officer also went toward. You have to look at the video. I'm not telling you nothing that I haven't.
No. If you say she went back over because she saw the girl hit the ground, well, does that mean you're saying that she went over there to defend that girl?
No, I think she went. You are good at what you do, but I'm gonna say this. No, she did not go over there to get in a scuffle. My opinion. I don't believe she went over there to attack Micaiah. My opinion. I do believe, however, she went as it appears because the girl got knocked on the ground. If your friend get knocked down, you're going to help him, right?
So by helping them, that means defending the girl that's on the ground.
No, in the midst of you helping him, someone attacked you. Do that mean you was going over there to join in? That's how it happened. No matter how you look at it, Anthony, that's how it happened. She did not go over there to engage in a fight. I believe from
how else was she gonna help her? If I'm standing over your friend, essentially about to pelt them, how else besides you engaging me from behind can you help your friend get up?
If you're standing over my friend, fighting my friend.
I need some soda.
Yes, I understand how you can see that she went over to engage, but you have to look at viewing what's right there in plain sight. You cannot dismiss that. I don't believe she went over there to jump in the fight. I believe she went over there to help her friend up or help the situation because the police officer was already reaching.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How would she have helped with this girl standing over her clearly in an aggressive manner? How is she going to help her?
At that point, Micaiah wasn't standing over her. Micaiah was on top of her.
Right. So how was she going to help her friend who's on the ground with someone standing over top of her? How was she going to help her up?
Okay. Again, my belief.
Okay.
From how she approached the situation, I don't think she was going over to fight or help her friend that was on the ground. Because if you go back and look at it,
Okay.
By the time she reached them anyway, Micaiah was up. Do you feel what I'm saying? Micaiah was already up grabbing at her by the time she even reached over there.
Again, so my point is, if she was already out of the way, right, she reinserted herself back in the situation.
No.
If Micaiah would have got up and turned around and that girl wasn't there, what would Micaiah have done?
No.
I mean, this is really a speculative situation, but based off of what you're saying, based in terms of the actual footage that we saw, right, the girl in the pink was already out of the way. Already out of the way. The girl hit the ground. You just acknowledged that you think that, from your opinion, you think the girl in the pink was going to help the young lady that hit the ground, right? What I'm saying is that if she said, hey, we're not doing that. The girl that Micaiah standing over the young lady, if the girl in the pink was going to help this other young lady, how else other than engaging Micaiah was she going to help her? It literally makes no sense. If Micaiah would have turned, just as the girl hit the ground, right? You can see Micaiah's body turn, right? If the girl in the pink was out of the way, there would have been nobody to engage. There would have been nobody to engage.
Okay.
So the young lady in the pink advancing towards Micaiah escalates the situation further. So I can't cognitively understand how you can say that she was going to help the other young lady and not engage Micaiah.
Okay, number one, probably because I did. Probably because I viewed more videos on it probably than you. No point.
Wait, say that again?
I said probably because I viewed more of the videos than you. No point intended.
There's only 2 videos. I watched them both.
Oh no, it's more than 2 videos. But it's more than 2.
How many more videos are there? From what angle?
I know I got. Hold on. Let me see how many I got in my Oh, you said angle? You said angle?
One from the angle from the body cam from the cop.
Now
and then the neighbor across the street. Those are
it's only 2
that I've seen.
Yeah, it's only 2 with 2 different angles, but
right.
I do have a phone. Whoever they got it from, I don't even know because they ain't delivered no name, and I'm gonna post that. I do have one with a phone with a whole different angle, the angle from the dad. But let me go back before I forget what I'm trying to say. You know that was 2 kicks, right?
Say that again.
You know that there was 2 kicks, right, from the father.
2 kicks.
There was 2 kicks from the father. When Micaiah first engaged with the young lady that hit the ground, the dad kicked her the first time. When Micaiah got up and engaged the girl in pink, the dad kicked the girl that was on the ground.
Okay, what does that have to do with the girl in the pink?
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to get you to understand why the girl in pink and the officer went that direction the first time. Is what I'm trying to say. When Micaiah and the girl ended up on the ground, I don't believe. I mean, you cannot get me or make me say I believe that she went over to engage in a fight. And I'm not gonna say even she went over to help her. She went in that direction, so we can take that as we take that. You take that as she was engaged, and I take that as she was helping. And the reason why I take it that way is because the officer was there as well, reaching down like he was trying to help her up too.
Okay, so my question then becomes, how else with someone standing over her friend, let's just say they're friends. I don't know what their relationship was. I know they were former foster care girls that were in the home. You know, I'm not sure if they were with Micaiah or not, but they were former foster care girls in that home.
Well,
how else? Say again.
That girl that Micaiah attacked, I think she had. Let me see.
Both of them were former foster care girls in that home that aged out of the program.
Okay, if you remember when the cop came up, you had the girl in pink and another girl standing by the car, right?
Right.
It was a girl standing behind her. Those are the 2 that I believe was in the foster care system. Because if you listen at the girl that Micaiah attacked the first time speak to the officer, she's telling him, no, I have nothing to do with, which they can say anything, but the way she was talking to him was like she just got there in being a nosy, probably being nosy, and got caught up. That's for them to sort out. But I think the girl in the pink and the one behind her was the previous foster kid. Where the girl that ended up on the ground came from, I don't know. That has to be sorted out. I'm doing research on it. But I don't think she was one of the foster kids. Again, when that happened, Micaiah came out the house with a weapon. You cannot make that right. She came out of the house with a weapon after calling for help. How you gonna make that right?
What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you make that right? Just because you make a phone call does not mean that the threat is over.
Okay, wait, what?
Just because you make a phone call, if I'm in a home, let's qualify this. Let's say I'm in a domestic situation and I call the police. Does that mean once I call the police that the threat is over? No, it does not.
Oh, okay. Well, let me use that then, because I was in a domestic situation. When I called the police and they came to my door, and you're correct, that don't mean that the threat is over, because once they leave, then guess what? The threat is back on, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Say again.
I said I've been in a domestic violence situation.
Myself as well. Mm-hmm.
I had to call the police. Okay.
Right.
When they came, I'm trying to get an understanding of what you're saying. When they came, yeah, we went to the door. We said what we had to say. I'm trying to get them to get him to leave. So my understanding of what you're saying is, hell, once we close the door, the threat back on. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Once the call was made, right, there was an active confrontation in the home. This has been confirmed. There's an active confrontation going on in the home. Once the 911 call was made, it was active. There are grown girls trying to fight us and stab us. That was the wording that was used in the 911 call. That is an active confrontation. What I mean by that is, once the call was made, that does not mean the confrontation stopped. When we're talking specifically about the girl in the pink, I'm asking how else, besides engaging Micaiah, was she going to help her friend, whom clearly has someone standing over top of her, if not to engage Micaiah?
Okay, like I said, that was my opinion. I don't believe she was going over there to fight. We're gonna leave that one at that. As far as
you said in your opinion you felt like she was going over to help. I'm trying to understand what was that help gonna look like?
Because that's the way it appears from everything that I've seen on the video, because of the way she reached down to the girl and the way the officer reached down to the girl. I believe she went over to help her up, but she didn't get far enough up on her before Micaiah got up and grabbed her and pushed her back to the car. That's what I saw.
Because in order to help her friend, she would have had to move Micaiah. Micaiah's not a small girl. Micaiah was a pretty plus-size girl.
Okay,
so she would have had to move Micaiah out of the way in order to help her friend up.
She didn't get to touch her. That's what I'm trying to...
That's the point that I'm making. So when you say she wasn't looking for a fight, what was she looking to do? That's speculative.
I don't know how to go back in this. I'm going to say it up once again. When the girl hit the ground, the officer went towards, like he was trying to really see what's going on, help the girl up, but she ended up...
Right, he asked what's going on. Yep.
And you can see the girl in pink going toward that way as well. Now
behind Micaiah's back, right?
She wasn't going aggressively. She wasn't. No, okay. My opinion is, I believe that maybe she went over to felt like she can help the girl up off the ground. I'm gonna leave it at that until I go back and pull it up, because I wanted you to pull it up so your viewers can see it. But I'm still on the knife. I'm still on the fact that she came out the house with a weapon
to defend herself.
Everybody say, "Oh, we'll stand your ground state. We'll stand your ground state." What does that actually mean? Because in most states, stand your ground actually mean inside your house.
Well, it actually means on your property, the property that you reside in.
I know too much about that. In some states, I just didn't do that particular state. In some states, stand your ground actually mean inside your house. If they get outside your house, you could go to jail. Look that up. You have officers that will tell you, and I'm not trying to put my cousin business out, but I'm gonna go and tell you. I have a cousin that stood her ground in her house in a domestic situation. He crawled his little ass outside and was there when the police got there. Ask me what happened.
What took place?
She went to jail. And that's what they told her in court. In fact, they told her that she should have kept him inside the house. How you do that? That's law for you.
Okay, so here we go. The Ohio Stand Your Ground. In order to use lethal force, the law requires that you are not the aggressor. You had reasonable belief you needed to use lethal force, and it was proportional to the threat, and there was no reasonable opportunity to get away. If I'm being attacked in the home that I live in by people that do not live there, I'm more than positive that qualifies as a need to want to defend yourself as a child against adults. As a 16-year-old, and I have adults in my home that are trying to actively confront me, which has been confirmed. It was an active confrontation in the home that she lives in, that they do not live in. That to me qualifies as you feeling the need to use whatever force you need in order to get those people away from you in that active confrontation.
Okay, so again, when they was in the home with the active confrontation,
right?
Why didn't she do it?
You said why didn't she? I mean, neither one of us know that.
Exactly. That's kind of like the little string that hang and you pull it and everything falls apart. That's the camel that's the straw that broke the camel's back, because she did not engage them with that knife during the confrontation. Whether she could get to the kitchen or not, we don't know. She did not engage them at that particular time. So therefore, they ended up outside. She's still inside. You feel what I'm saying? She took it upon herself. Whoever did, they saying
no, we don't know that they were outside and she was inside. We don't know that.
How we don't know that?
The very first body cam footage, when the police officer pulls up, Micaiah is engaging the first young lady that hit the ground around the corner of the home. They were all outside at the exact same time. We don't know that they were already outside and then Micaiah went in and came back out. They were actively engaged in a confrontation.
Pull that up. Pull that up. Cause I got both.
For those of you over on TikTok, come on over to the YouTube because I'm about to shut this down. So let me be very clear about something. What I'm not going to show is I'm not going to show Micaiah losing her life, because I'm not going to revisit that.
Okay.
But when the officer pulled up, that is what I'm going to show.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that was an active confrontation. Body cam. Give me just a second. Okay.
I want to be as transparent as possible, walk you through this video step by step, and we've decided not to show certain parts out of respect for family, friends, even classmates. I've reviewed this video. It says Officer Nicholas Reardon was the one who discharged his firearm. Here he is heading towards Legion Lane after 2 911 calls to police.
Arriving at 3171 Legion Lane.
Footage shows 7 people in a driveway, and when the officer says what's going on, that's when another woman is shoved to the ground.
You see that right there?
Later, identify Micaiah Bryant. She appears to be the one shoving down the other woman.
She said as soon as he pulled up, he said you can see Micaiah Bryant shoving this young lady to the ground. Active confrontation. There was no, she just came back outside. It was an active confrontation as soon as the officer pulled up.
Okay, so let me pull mine up. Hold on. And this one do not show her.
Is this the second view that you were talking about?
No, I'm showing the entire thing from across the street.
From across the street, okay.
Okay, now you see
pull it
how
up just a little bit more.
Oh
Or
God.
I was about to say, yeah, you can turn to the side. That's Miss Audrey.
I'm Miss Audrey.
Hi, baby. How are you? Okay, let me go back. I was able to blow it up. Okay.
You gonna throw him? Over there.
Now you see when the officer is it starting over. Now you see nobody is outside. There's the officer pulling up. They're all
Okay.
coming out. They're all coming out. You see the
Okay,
girl.
girl in the pink is walking toward the car, right?
Nope.
Walking toward the car.
Okay.
They hit the ground. She advances toward.
Okay. Watch it again. They're all coming out. Officer just pulled up. Now there go the girl that hit the ground right there.
She steps back. The girl hits the ground. She advances toward the situation.
Okay. Now what I just saw, we both was wrong because although the girl in pink advanced over there, Micaiah was already up just from what we just saw. Because that's why I said watch it again, because I wanted to make sure before I spoke on it. Micaiah was already up, grabbing at her, with her hand like this. The knife was not showing at this point in time.
Because you can see from that angle out of her peripheral, she probably saw her.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you that, because we're not going to argue that point. I don't feel like she was going to engage in an altercation, but I do feel like the officer, I felt like she was going to give some assistance.
So let me ask you this: let's place yourself in Micaiah's shoes. You have an active confrontation.
You can't place me. You can't place me. I would have fought.
Say again.
I would have fought. You can't place me in that. No, I would have fought.
As a 16-year-old against two grown women.
I would have fought, Anthony.
I'm saying she already has the weapon in her hand. I'm saying this is the point that I'm making. You already know that you've had a confrontation with these individuals.
Okay.
Out of your peripheral, you see one advancing toward you behind your back. What is your thought process?
Well, yeah, it is to get up and grab her. That's why I said that's your opinion, and I had mine by what I view.
Come on, Miss Audrey. Come on now.
And you know what?
Come on now.
I'm gonna give you that. You know why I'm gonna give you that? Because I know me. I know that because it have happened. I know that if I'm fighting one girl and I see a shadow, it ain't even. If I see a shadow, then yeah, I probably would have got up and done the same thing. But what you're not understanding is that everything it don't justify the fact that she had that knife outside after she had called law enforcement
To defend herself.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. You said it started inside the house. If it started inside my house, this is where they drop it. Do you feel what I'm saying? 16.
I feel what you're saying, but I feel like that's a speculative statement because we don't know what the parameters of we can only objectively speak about what we saw when the officer pulled up and saw them coming around the side. Even from the footage that you just showed, we cannot speak about anything that we speak about that happened in the home based off of what was said. The only information that we have is that the women inside the home, well, the young lady and the grown women, right, had a disagreement as it relates to the cleanliness of the home and Micaiah's room. That's all the information that we have about the inside of the home. Now, when the officer pulled up, right, the only thing that we have to go off of from that body cam footage from the officer and from the neighbor is them rounding the corner and Micaiah advancing toward the young lady that hit the ground. The dad kicking what appeared to be like her head. The officer drawing his weapon. Micaiah turning around after the girl in the pink. We can clearly see her advancing toward Micaiah, turning around and lunging out, then lunging up with that weapon in her hand to what it appeared to be like defending herself. Now, again, you can argue speculation with whether or not she was being aggressive or defending herself, but we both just agreed that if I'm down on top of someone and I see someone out of my peripheral that I already knew that I was in a confrontation with, my immediate thought is they're trying to do me harm, and I'm going to defend myself.
Okay, yeah, when you look at it that way, I wanted to focus on the fact that I still do not believe that Micaiah should have come out the house with a weapon. I believe the grown people that came out, come on, we're talking about us.
We're talking about a child fighting adults, though.
Hold on.
Let's put that into perspective.
Hold on, I'm going to put it in perspective for you.
Okay.
You got grown people coming out with this child. You already called and said Nas was involved. Are you following me? I'm not going to even get into the grown people, but if I do say something about it, they know that this is a child. They know what's going on, and they should not have let her come out that door with a weapon, whether she was protecting herself or not. You already clarified what I wanted to say about everything being in the house. We don't know what happened in the house.
Right.
That's what I went to tell you when you was, clarifying your point to me. I can't speak on it. I'm simply speaking on what the police camera showed and what Cross the Street showed.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And from that point of view, from both of those point of view, that's where I came to my opinionated conclusion. Because in the 911 call. Because when I heard the 911 call, I immediately knew that was, it sounded, I ain't gonna say that's what it was.
Go on, mommy.
It sounded like a child to me. But when I heard the young lady in pink speak, and if you play the first 911 call and then go back and listen at the young lady in pink speak, they sound the same. But that's for an expert to do. I'm just saying what I heard.
So hold on. Let me ask you a question. The girl in the pink was 20.
Yeah, I know she was grown.
Right. So the girl on the phone call, let's just put this into perspective. The girl on the phone call said that there are grown women here to attack us and stab us. Why would a 20-year-old say that about a 16-year-old?
Okay, point made. I'm trying to tell you what I heard on the phone call and hearing her speak.
Right.
No matter how you look at it, if you listen to the 911 call.
Okay, when Daddy gets off, I'll give it to you, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
If you listen to the 911 call, it sounds like a child.
Right.
Then when I heard the young lady in pink speak, because she was speaking to the father when he came up, her voice sounds kind of childlike.
I like it.
Once again, that was me putting 1, 2, and 3 together, and that may not go nowhere. I'm just telling you what it sounded like to me. As far as the second phone call, that was an adult. When she said, "Oh, never mind, they're here."
Caleb, go.
And I want to ask you this question. Do you believe that we're all in the house and you don't know that I'm going to fight somebody with a weapon?
Wait, say it again?
Do you think if we all was in a house and in a situation like what just happened, do you not somebody in there did not know she had a weapon? It was 4 of them came out of that house. 4 of them out of that house with Micaiah. So you had the 4 people to come out of the house with Micaiah, the dad to come up, and I'm just concentrating on the 4 people that came out. You cannot tell me one of those people did not know she had a weapon and should have been telling her not to go outside with that weapon.
Oh, I'm not discount. Well, first and foremost, just to answer your question, it's speculative. Neither one of us know the answer to that question. However, let me also qualify by saying this: I don't believe it was just the officer that failed Micaiah. I felt like a lot of those adults that were standing around. I think we can all agree, but a lot of those adults that were standing around that were not intervening failed all of those girls as well by allowing that situation to persist, regardless of whether there was a weapon present or not.
Okay.
So I think we can all come to an agreement that those adults that were standing around should have intervened in the sense of breaking it up instead of egging it on.
Okay.
So
So
to say that I know that she had a weapon and would tell her to put it down, I'm not sure that I can say that because we have these things called instincts, right? Give me just a second. Okay, give me just a second. We have these things called instincts, right? When we feel like we're in danger, we go into what's called the fight or flight response. When you go into the fight response and not the flight is to retreat, right? Which we could if we want to put this into perspective, we can qualify the girl in the pink as someone that was in flight because she left. You can see she was already within distance of being away from the confrontation when they came outside. From what it appeared when the body cam footage showed, as well as what the side view showed as well. We can qualify her being in the flight response, so to speak, because she was already out the way holding a chihuahua. So in my mind, I'm thinking she probably thought I'm not in danger whatsoever. She went into the flight response, to whereby Micaiah went into the fight response, to whereby you're going to do what you need to do in order to protect yourself. Now, what that looks like is subjective because, again, we can only go off of what was reported that happened in the home and then go off of what took place when they exited the home based off of what the body cam footage showed, as well as the other view from the neighbor across the street. So in this regard, to say that, can I objectively say that one of those adults should have told her to put the knife down? That's if they saw it. I don't know, nor do you know, whether or not they physically saw that knife in her hand to be able to tell her, hey, put that knife down. However, I can agree with you on this point that those adults standing around definitely should have intervened, not necessarily to escalate the situation or to engage in confrontation, but to acknowledge this is a child engaging in confrontation with adults.
okay, I give you that. I'm gonna go back to the point of, as you said, we don't know. No, we can't speak on. We can speculate, but we cannot speak on what happened inside the house. But for me
No.
to get that point out, and me as a mother, I didn't tell you that because I was speculating.
Mm.
I told you that because I'm a mother that has been in that exact same situation where my daughter was protecting me, and I think she was 17.
That she bought the knife out the house.
It's not.
Okay, that's all I know.
At 17 years old, she got arrested for protecting her mother. You understand? On our property.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? But I called the police. I had to throw the phone down because my daughter was getting a weapon to go defend her mother. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, but the mother wasn't present. It was just the
I
girls.
know. I'm giving you a scenario of
Okay.
same situation, different people. You understand what I'm saying? Because, and we was here in the state of Georgia at that time. They was in high school. Me as a mother, I know what happened. I know what can happen. And even if I don't, I contemplate what can happen. You understand what I'm saying? Her standing outside after I had called authority with a weapon wouldn't have been a good position for her to be in.
Now, was she in it? Were you all in an active confrontation?
No.
And it's not comparable.
Yes, it is, because active confrontation of her grabbing the girl came after the police officer got there.
No. They were already, okay. In your scenario,
with
you had already called. You said for her to be standing outside with the weapon would not have been a good situation. And then you admitted that
her coming out the house with a weapon, period.
Okay. So we cannot speak to what took place in the home besides what was already stated via the reports that were given. In terms of the footage itself, when the officer pulled up, there was an active confrontation. We have to put that into context. There was an active confrontation. Now, if we want to say that those adults standing around should have intervened, regardless of whether she had a weapon or not, I can agree with you on that. But to say that oh, she shouldn't have came out the house with the weapon. We don't know at what point was she defending herself, nor, and my wife just brought up this point, nor do we know if she came out the house with the weapon or where the weapon came from. That's speculative. To say, if none of us, nobody that is living right now can conclusively say that Micaiah went into that home, grabbed that knife, and came outside. None of us can say that. Because then you could give the counter argument that how do we know that she didn't take it from someone else that was already outside and then decide to use it?
Okay.
We don't know that. We don't know that part. So what I'm saying is that when the active confrontation was taking place, your cognitive process, it fight or flight. Fight or flight. You either defending yourself or you running away.
Okay, that was not, and I know you will go back and watch it. That was not a physical confrontation going on when that officer pulled up.
Hold on
No.
just a second.
When he pulled up, it was not a physical confrontation. By the time he got out the car and got on that grass going towards that sidewalk was when that confrontation with the first girl started.
Okay, just a second. Now again, like I said, I'm not going to show her losing her life. Okay, this is the officer pulling up. This is them right there, actively engaging with one another.
Where is he pulling up at?
This is okay. So hold on. This is the officer getting out of the vehicle.
Okay.
Walking up to the situation. They are actively in a confrontation. Actively.
Where you got that from?
This is the body cam footage. To whereby she shoved her to the ground immediately. That's an active confrontation.
Okay, hold on.
It wasn't, oh, the police officer pulled up and then she just immediately started attacking the girl. They were in an active confrontation. So we have to put that into we have to contextualize that aspect of this situation. And then when we fully contextualize it, we are literally talking about a 16-year-old engaging in an active confrontation with adults. I'm not sure that I should criticize the manner in which she's protecting herself. Okay. Biologically, adults, right, their physical stature is greater than that of children. Now, granted, we don't know what their height, we don't know what their weight was. Like I said, Micaiah looks like a pretty plus-size young lady. But the other young lady that hit the ground looked like she was about her size as well.
Okay, let me show you this again, because maybe I'm missing something. And you're going to have to show me where when he pulled up, they was engaging in an active, because maybe I'm missing something. Hold on. Uh-oh.
Okay. Boom.
There's the engagement right there. Oh, I thought
coming around the side of the home. Coming around the side of the home. You literally just showed it. Coming around the side of the home.
Okay. There we go again.
Okay. Boom. Backing up. Boom. Engagement. Right there.
If you have to watch it twice, you lose.
Okay. We're going to leave that alone. Because me and you seeing two different things. And that's just, we going to keep on talking about them two different things we seeing.
I was about to say, I'm not understanding how, but okay. All right, let's move beyond that. So let's, I feel like we spent a decent amount of time talking about Micaiah and the girls. Let's talk about the officer. Let's talk about training.
Okay.
Right? You said earlier that you felt like his only option was to discharge his firearm. Why is that? Do this.
Because in his training, he's to what? Subdue a threat, right? That she was a threat. She was a threat to another person.
Okay, so you utilizing that exact same logic, why do you think that he didn't engage the man? Even if not with deadly force, why did he engage the man who was actively kicking someone in the, you acknowledged that he had actively kicked her in the head twice already.
Okay.
So why
Okay.
didn't he engage the man?
Okay. And
Yes, can we get some water?
in my studying of the film, and I really do want you to go back and kind of clear your mind and look at it the way that I'm about to tell you. In my studying of this video, frame by frame, each video that I have, I do believe when
Go ahead.
when the
Hold the door
dad
for Caleb.
when the dad kicked the young lady on the ground is when you heard the first get down. People are not listening to it right. That's when you heard the first get down. It is my belief that that's who he was talking to. Everything happened so fast till it went from dad to Micaiah. Because now I see a threat.
Oh, there were 3 more get downs after that first one towards
But
Micaiah. His weapon was pointed toward Micaiah, and he said 3 more times get down. Not drop the weapon, not drop the knife. 3 more times he said get down.
okay. From what I viewed and saw was the first get down, and the consecutive get downs came after the dad kicked the young lady in the head.
Right, and the body cam footage shows that he's pointing the weapon at Micaiah.
Can we actually say that it was at Micaiah when you got him,
okay,
the dad?
let's say in the direction of Micaiah.
Okay, because Micaiah quickly got up and engaged the one in pink.
I mean, if we're looking directly from the first person perspective, then yes, we can say that.
I'm looking from the body cam. If you look from the body cam, you see where, and then and then the gun was pointed at the level of the. I pay attention to details like that, and like I said, I don't mind if I'm wrong, but this is my opinion. And then the gun was in the level of the dad when he was hollering "get down." I'm thinking, my opinion. I thought he was telling the dad to get down because he was kicking the girl on the ground. Like I said, everything happened so fast from his camera on his body. It looked like the gun went just like this. From that direction of where they was to the direction over here. If you view it view it and see it the way that I'm really telling you, I'm not asking you to see it my way. I'm just asking you to kind of like go frame by frame and look at it. When he got out the car, dad kicked girl. He came out with his gun, pointed in the direction of all of them. I'm not gonna say 1%.
So the body cam footage shows that when he kicked her the first time when she hit the ground, the officer drew his weapon, and you can literally see his body. He drew the weapon. The dad appeared to kick the young lady again.
Okay.
The weapon turned all the way to Micaiah, not to the father.
No.
And 3 more get downs were stated before he discharged his firearm.
We're saying the same thing. You didn't hear me. I said that the first get down was when the dad kicked the girl the first time. If you look at how the gun is pointed, and you know this because, like I said, you have dealt with guns. It was pointed in the direction of where they all was.
No, it was pointed down. It was pointed. So when you pull a firearm from your waistband, right? It's called the Sewell position. Because if I'm not, one of the universal weapon safety rules is never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot, right? When he initially pulled that weapon out, the weapon was at what we call the Sewell position. It wasn't until Micaiah advanced toward her that he advanced it up toward Micaiah. Get down, get down, get down, discharged it 4 times.
Okay, I blew it.
Never once was it pointed at the father or at the young lady that was on the ground or at the young lady in the pink. When he pulled that weapon, you can look at this directly from the body cam footage. This is first person. When you draw a weapon, right, you put it at what's called the Sewell position. If I'm actually, give me just a second. This is just for all intents and purposes. This is a Nerf gun. It's not a real firearm. When you pull a firearm from your side, right? You're holding the pistol grip, right? Keep your finger along the receiver. You're holding the pistol grip. You hold it in what's called the Sewell position to ensure that you don't shoot somebody you don't intend to shoot. When he initially drew his weapon and said, "Get down," it wasn't until he fully turned to Micaiah that he put it up towards her. Get down, get down, get down. And then he discharged it 4 times.
Okay, so where was the threat at? And I saw what you said. I replayed it. I saw when he got out the car. I saw when he went over to the girl and had it kind of like pointing down like that.
Right.
I also saw, and that's why I said everything happened so quickly, because although he had it pointed down like that, that was the first get down. The other 3 get downs, I agree with you. They came when he turned the gun towards Micaiah Wade. Okay, Micaiah is now the threat over here. I feel like the man was the threat over here because he didn't know at that particular time Micaiah even had a knife.
Right.
You cannot see that in that first scuffle that she even had a weapon. But you can clearly see it as she pushing the girl towards the car, something. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, either way you look at it, we both got a point on that situation because, yeah, he came out and he had it held in his trained position, telling, I feel like the father, but we just gonna say he just said, "Get out." And when he turned it, he noticed that there's a threat. I mean, the father was a threat altogether because that's a man. But he know that there was a lethal threat. Go ahead, I'm gonna let you handle them.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah. I felt like when he turned it, when he realized that there's a lethal threat over here. So to kind of close this out, I see your point of views, and believe me, I'm gonna go back. I do that all the time. I'm gonna go back and make sure that I'm seeing what I'm seeing.
I got you.
I felt like that's what I saw, but I still say that she was the aggressor. I'm not gonna change my view on that. Although if the young lady did come over there and they did engage with her at that point in time when all of this happened that we can't see with our eyes, at that point in time, she became the aggressor.
But that's not speculation though. That's a fact.
I'm saying I'm only going with what I see. And
right.
You know this had to be a good conversation if you done talked up my iPad. But anyway, but yeah, we're gonna leave that right here, and I'm gonna go back and if I have any new or because I'm that one. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna come tell you. You know what, you was right. But
I got you.
If I stand on what I stand on, then I'll continue to do that. But I do believe the officer was right to take out a threat. I'm not changing. That's something I'm not changing on, because I know that from what we're seeing, he didn't get out asking nobody their age or none of that. He didn't know how old none of them was. All he knows is that in his training, he saw a threat. He had to dissolve that threat. That's what I'm leaving it at with the officer. I'm not putting nothing else in that. And I feel
when
like
I say sit down, I mean come here. Come here.
I feel like he did his job, and as tragic as that whole situation was, a life was lost, but also a life was saved. So that's what I'm gonna leave that at. And we might touch bases on. I'm always on your page. I'm just gonna tell you, I don't stalk you.
Okay, yeah, definitely. No. I definitely understand. I would definitely encourage you to go look at that follow-up report, and I definitely think that more information is forthcoming. Based off of what we had.
Always.
I definitely appreciate you pulling up and at least having this conversation. And I definitely look forward to Okay, all right. Okay. Your tail's fine. Go sit down.
I got one request before we
turn the chair back on.
Say our goodbyes. Don't call me no goofy. Cause I'm gonna tell you, Miss Audrey, know when I say something on your page, I go right back to your page to see your response. But I do commend you because you will not call my name, but I know you be talking to me, but I'm not your goofy.
Listen, if someone presents some goofy behavior, hey, listen, they might mess around and be a goofy.
Well,
I just think that, holistically, like I said, I think based off of our initial exchange, I think that there was a certain sentiment that was had, which is why, like I said, I don't publicly, privately, I don't mind having this conversation. I definitely was not about to sit here and debate this. But more so just an exchange of, what your perspective was, how you were seeing things from your, perspective and things of that nature. That's what I was trying to get to a place of. So again, I definitely appreciate you for pulling up. And like I said, definitely feel free if you get any new information, hit me in the DMs and we can definitely further this conversation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you pulling up.
All right. Thank you.
Daddy? Daddy. Gotta go, mommy.
Wow. 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 I mean, I'm a, I think holistically we need to.
Your patience is immaculate. Okay.
Yeah.
Very immaculate.
I think that when we approach conversations like this, I think we need to do our due diligence to ensure that we are getting all of the information so that we can make take another long breath. Okay. Listen, we were having a full-blown conversation on my live watching this. Yeah, I think we need to make sure that when we approach these conversations that we come from a place of full understanding. All of the information that's present when we're having these conversations. It is my firm belief that we are to do our due diligence, not to approach a conversation haphazardly, or not to approach a conversation with limited knowledge based on what was most recently put out toward a situation. There are things that are speculative, right? And I think we can all agree that there are things that when situations happen, regardless of whether there are police involved or not, that are speculative, right? But then there's also things called facts, right? There's also things called articles, and there's also things called reports. And when we look at things like primary sources, like a body cam footage or the footage from the neighbor across the street, I think we can dispel some of the narratives that may very well be sought to be verbalized and or perpetuated when it comes to someone giving what I would consider an educated opinion, right? One thing that I can commend Miss Audrey on is at least having the wherewithal to have the conversation. I will leave it to you all in the comment section whether or not you felt like this was a productive conversation. I cannot wholeheartedly say that it was. I also do believe that there was a bit of go back and do your research that definitely took place a great deal of times. And like I said, one thing that I'm not going to have you relive is this young lady losing her life. I'm not showing that, but to dispel some of the ideas of, what took place in someone's mind versus visually on camera, we can definitely strike down some of those sentiments. And someone said, I think she believed her beliefs than the visual facts that was in front of her. And I think sometimes what we want to be true versus what is actually true sometimes varies in that regard. So I think, again, that we need to do our due diligence to ensure that we are presenting factual information and that we are not pushing a narrative that is not indicative of what we're actually talking about. Yeah, that was, I don't know, for lack of a better word, that was rough. That was definitely rough. Conscious just FaceTime me. I don't know if it's about our conversation, but what's up, bro?
Yeah, bro, that's my son calling me on my iPad.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
All right, boss. Goodness gracious. She kept bringing up her own situation, so she was biased by something she experienced. And I mean, even with her experience, and again, you can go back and listen to the conversation, it was a flawed experience because she admitted that it was not an active confrontation. You know, again, there are things that we can say that are speculative, then we can say that there are things that were factual. You know, once you wipe your head, I knew you was. Listen, I truly do believe that the largest divide between information and misinformation is communication. And, you know, my grandmother always told me that you can argue opinions until, you know, the end of the moon. But what you can't argue with is facts. I mean, you just make yourself, you know, look crazy. Go get some of that juice that helps you sleep because her perspective is skewed, so she could not see the obvious. I think in her mind, well, let me not say I think. I'm convinced in her mind, she believes that Micaiah deserved to lose her life, that she was the aggressor in this situation, and I cannot bring myself to fully agree with that. Again, let me make sure that I publicly state that in the eyes of the law, they're going to see this as a justified shooting, regardless of what you think and or feel, because officers do have the right to protect third parties, which was that girl in the pink. However, I personally feel like there were other options. And based off of our conversation alone, to whereby she felt like, and kind of putting into perspective, I can actually agree that he kind of hesitated when he first pulled out, like I said, when he first pulled out his weapon. And again, this is not a standard service pistol or, you know, a police standard weapon. This is just, you know, I would qualify this more as a Desert Eagle than a 9, but, you know, semantics. However, when you draw your weapon, any law enforcement know, right? When you draw your weapon from your side, right? From your side, when you draw your weapon initially, right? You reinforce your firing hand, right? And you hold it down close to your body, if not close to you, in what's called the Sewell position, right? What that does is there's 4 universal weapon safety rules. In the military, we say treat, never, keep, right? Treat every weapon as if it's loaded. So if we're talking semantics as it relates to this firearm here, well, this blaster, it's a blaster, not a firearm. This blaster, you insert the dart from here, right? You can clearly see that there's nothing in here, right? Treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot, right? Treat, never, keep. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, right? And then keep your weapon on safe. Now, this does not have a safety, but keep your weapon on safe until you're ready to fire. So in this regard, right, once that weapon was drawn and put at the Sewell position, the first get down was stated. That's a factual statement. But the second, third, and fourth were pointed at Micaiah. That's not a speculative conversation. That is a fact. So in this regard, there's only so much that you can physically say, before the facts don't agree with you. And again, we talk about facts over feelings, right? We opened up talking about not allowing our emotions to get the best of us in this situation. And I'm thinking to myself, as a 16-year-old, knowingly engaging with adults, I'm not going to question the manner in which I protect myself. Again, Micaiah's not here to defend herself, which to me is the ultimate disservice. Because she should be, in my opinion, she should be. We've already stated what the law states, or what the law says. We've already physically saw what the body cam footage and what the secondary footage showed as well. Bruh, you exhibited the patience of Job. Listen, and see, that's the thing. When it comes to, and let me qualify this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off of here, and then I'm going to hop back over on TikTok. To me, saying get down instead of drop the knife caused confusion, and I will agree with that. I think to put this into full perspective, right? To say facts over feelings, but Miss Audrey constantly said, I feel. She did. However, there's only so much of your opinion that you can insert into a conversation before the facts start disagreeing with you, right? And I truly do believe that we all deserve our day in court. but I cannot advocate on behalf of someone factually that is not here to defend themselves. I definitely found her sentiment to be interesting, to say the least. And I was a little shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little shocked by her consistent sentiment that she felt as though that a 16-year-old was the aggressor to two adults that did not live in her home that she was already in an active confrontation with. I can't understand someone cognitively coming to that conclusion. And like I said, we exchanged ideas, we exchanged, thought processes, and I genuinely cannot understand how, a logical thinking individual can come to that conclusion. I just can't. I just can't. Like I said, I appreciate her at least, pulling up to have the conversation. But yeah, that was rough to say the least.
Banana, please.
Okay, give me a second. I'll get you a bandage when I get off live, okay?
Okay, Daddy said he won't get you one.
All right.
You see the scissors?
The scissors? No. As a 16-year-old, I would use whatever's around me to protect myself. I agree with that. So do me a favor. For those of you that are over here on the YouTube, thank you so much for pulling up yourself. Hit that like button. Hit that comment button. Comment, in the words of my homegirl, Demasia, comment your thoughts below.
Hit the subscribe button.
Make sure you mash that subscribe button. And also, let me go ahead and pin this. I have a debate tomorrow at 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be debating on whether or not black on black crime is a thing. Pray for me. So again, I look forward to seeing you all. I look forward to talking with you all. For those of you that are over here on the YouTube, make sure you follow me back over on TikTok at ISpeak1906. And remember, at the end of the day, that God is peace, God is love, and God is everything. Mash that subscribe button. I love y'all. Y'all have a good one.